This is the End Zone. Let's move the chains. We're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I want to tell you not to overreact so far through 3 weeks of football on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of people are counting them out of Super Bowl contention or even playoff contention. I'm just going to tell you to pump the brakes a little bit because there's a lot of football left to be played this season. So we're going to go over Tampa Bay and why you could be a little bit more optimistic about this team. I know that they lost to the Saints week 1, but let's dive into the weeds and really evaluate this team for what they are and what they can be. So first of all, I just want to get out of the way. A lot of people were overreacting to the opener versus the Saints. Listen, it's a weird offseason with a new starting quarterback, no preseason to get ready really, not enough time to get acclimated with a new offense and new wide receivers. We saw that in week 1 with miscommunications with Mike Evans. And when you look at this offense, they have a lot of tools. They have a ton of tools. They just need to develop them to beat out the Saints in their division. That's really the main goal because the Falcons aren't going to be better than Buccaneers. Panthers are not going to be better than Buccaneers. It's really just the Saints. Now, without Chris Godwin fully healthy, yeah, that really hurts this offense in the beginning of the season. Hopefully, he will get healthy. But Bruce Arians is going to need to unlock the Gronk, who's off to a slow start. Mike Evans, again, he needs more targets. Bruce Arians said this after week 1. We really saw that against Carolina. But in week 2, he had 2 catches, albeit for 2 touchdowns. But we need to see more Mike Evans if he is this dominant receiver that's going to dominate in his division and in his conference. And Scotty Miller has been a pleasant surprise, kind of a smaller wide receiver. He kind of came out of nowhere for me. I did hear things about him in the offseason, but I didn't really expect him to do as well. He's actually on my fantasy football team, so it's been nice seeing him doing well. You also got Leonard Fournette coming in from the Jaguars. He's had a couple great moments, great games, especially against Carolina. Ronald Jones, he's been pretty consistent. Shady McCoy being that receiving back. And it's proving to be a pretty stable run game, not the greatest. I want to see one of those running backs really step up. I think that Fournette is going to take that role by the end of the season, but it looks like Rojo is really keeping it consistent. I just want to see somebody take a step forward. OJ Howard has made some tremendous plays, but you got Gronk really taking most of the blocking. And as for the offensive line, Tristan Wirfs, rookie, came in and he's played pretty well. The offensive line isn't incredible, but it's still pretty good. They average 1.7 sacks allowed per game. They are, however, averaging 92 yards per game on the ground. I think the moral of the story for this offense is that we expect it to improve as the season goes on, not really just start off with a bang like you're seeing with some of these other offenses in the National Football League. With all these weapons and a new quarterback, I think that they're going to develop into something special. Now let's take a look at the defense, because the defense is what has been really impressive for the start of the season, allowing 20.3 points per game, 70.3 rushing yards per game, which is 3rd in the National Football League, and 237 pass yards per game. They forced 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles throughout 3 games. They've really been aggressive, and they've shown some great looks from a lot of their players. Some names on this defense stand out when you watch the Bucs play. Vita Vea along the defensive line, Levante David, linebackers, Shaq Barrett, who's coming off of a strong game against the Broncos. How about rookie Antoine Whitfield Jr., all the way from Minnesota? He doesn't play like he's a rookie, not making really any mistakes. He's got some sacks this season. And again, this defense is 7th in total points allowed, one of the better defenses in the National Football League. When it gets later into the season and defense becomes more important, this is something that they can lead on. And Bruce Arians has said, this is basically Super Bowl caliber defense, and I think that this is a defense that really could lead them. They really just need the offense to take a couple more steps and get those tools into position so that they can win more games against some of the tougher teams that they see this season. Now, they were good last year on defense, but this unit was put in a bad position because of the offense's turnovers. We're not going to see much of that this year, so I expect this defense to look very good as the season goes on. As for the remaining schedule, there are some real tests coming up, but as a whole, the schedule isn't too tough. Green Bay coming up soon, looks flawless on offense with Aaron Rodgers. Questions about the defense, got Aaron Jones at running back. and Alan Lazard having a pretty good game. Chicago made a quarterback change to Nick Foles. They came back to beat the Falcons. Is Nick Foles going to be sustainable? We know that they have Khalil Mack on defense, and that could be dangerous going up against that offensive line for the Buccaneers. New Orleans travels to Tampa. We're going to get a rematch. How will the Buccaneers change their game plan to beat New Orleans? The Rams could easily be 3-0. A lot of people are sleeping on this LA team and Jared Goff and that defense with Aaron Donald, that wrecking crew, one-man wrecking crew, if you will. And then, well, they have the Chiefs later in the season. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're the best team in the National Football League. I mean, there's really no doubt in my mind. But there is a lot to prove for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think that you can count them out only 3 games into the season. Right here, right now, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Do not count out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'd love to know your opinions down below. Thanks for watching the End Zone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.